Thank you for joining Chef Talk, guys. Chef Eric at the mic one more time. Tonight's theme is Oscar style steak baller theme, man. You know, you work hard all week, you bust your balls every single day of the week, giving your best every time, right? So at the end of the week, you deserve a good meal. And so this is the meal for you. So we have an Oscar style steak. We're gonna be using ribeye. We're gonna be using fresh crab meat. We got the sauce already going. It's gonna be super, super nice. Treat yourself, yo. We're gonna start with the Béarnaise sauce. It's a version of a hollandaise, done a little differently for dinner. So first, you wanna grab your white wine vinegar. You wanna get some tarragon and shallots. And then you're just gonna grab your shallots really quick. The original recipe will always call for fine dice. So it's a really small chop, but I don't like that. I like my sauce have a little texture. So I'm just gonna slice thinly. All the way down. You have your tarragon. I don't like breaking it, and I'm using dry just because I like the dry tarragon flavor on the sauce when it's reduced. And then I use fresh tarragon at the end to bring the fresh element. If you use fresh from the get-go, I mean, it does show, but it gets lost. With the vinegar reducing down, you lose the freshness of the tarragon. I already did some ahead of time. So basically I have reduced 1/4 cup of vinegar, add the tarragon, freshly cracked black pepper, reduced it down. Once the sauce has reduced for more than a couple of minutes, I say about 5, your shallots are gonna be nice and translucent. The vinegar has penetrated, the tarragon has released its flavors. At that moment, you just wanna grab your stick of butter. And the recipe that I'm having on the blog calls for 8 to 10 tablespoons of butter. It's a rich sauce. So basically, vinegar has been reduced. You add the butter off the heat and just stir it in. It just takes a couple minutes. You just wanna pretty much stir in. And as the sauce is incorporating, it becomes right away super creamy. Once you add the butter, you don't wanna put it back on the heat again because the sauce will break. And then when the sauce breaks, it turns into like scrambled eggs, especially because this recipe does call for 2 egg yolks. Sauce is becoming creamy. There's still little lumps of butter. You wanna add your 2 eggs at this moment. A pinch of salt. And you wanna stir it in. So by reducing down the vinegar, you have heated up the vinegar to a certain point where it's still gonna cook the eggs. It's gonna be healthy consuming them, so the egg yolks are not raw. The butter's still melting in there. And you don't want your sauce to be thick. I've been to a couple of restaurants across town, and their Béarnaise sauce is too thick. It's like eating warm mayo, and honestly, that is not good. So just keep on reducing down. That's your Béarnaise sauce, guys. As you have the Béarnaise sauce on the side, done and ready to go, do not add final seasoning or final touches yet. Remember, the whole dish has gotta be layered. So you have reduced the vinegar, add the shallots, you have added the tarragon to it, pinch of black pepper, pinch of salt. The sauce is not complete. You don't want it to be over rich. You don't want it to be under seasoned. You want a nice base. So at that moment, get your pan really hot, sauce on the side. You still have some butter left over. Cut 2 nice blocks, throw in your pan. I have some nice Maitake mushrooms, known in Japanese kitchens, ham of the wood. And I'm just cutting it with my fingers. I'm not really doing much with this. Just letting it sit on top of the butter. Mushrooms, big fan of mushrooms. So I got the mushrooms going on butter, seasoned with a little salt. Remember, Oscar style is a very French inspired dish. So you wanna use shallots, you wanna use butter. It's rich. You get your shallots, you got them in there. You wanna stir around. I have some garlic as well. And on garlic, you wanna do thick slices. You just want the garlic to release its flavor, and it'll become another element to this dish. It'll just tie everything together. You don't want one element overpowering another. I'm using some broccoli, and then the broccoli is just gonna take the flavors of what you got going on. So the butter's starting to brown, the garlic starting to cook, the mushrooms are really coming together. Now you're gonna add broccoli. Remember, French theme, little more butter. Butter's good for your love handles, you know? Add some salt. some black pepper. Move around. Make sure the butter is melting all evenly across the pan. And the broccoli has been blanched ahead of time. So it's all about now heating it up all the way through, soaking that butter, soaking those mushrooms, soaking the garlic, those thick slices of garlic. Once you got everything going on, all those smells are like marrying each other. You just want to add a little bit of white wine. And then let that white wine just burn off all the liquor. If you're doing this with an open fire, when you add the white wine, do it off the fire. You don't want to catch on fire. You don't want your pan to catch on fire either. First of all, you might burn your face. Second, when your pan catches on fire, it can give a very distinct like burnt flavor, and then you will not be able to cover that up. You know, that'll be in the dish, and you don't want that. You want everything to be nice and elegant, nice set of flavors all the way through. Smells so good already. Alright guys, now that the vegetable medley is set, cooking the steak can be the easiest part of this dish, but at the same time can be the place where everything goes wrong. For this dish, I like my medium. I like the meat texture to be a little chewy. With the rich sauce, with the crab meat, with everything coming in together, it ties everything up really quick and really nice. So get your pan as hot as you can. I'm using some good olive oil right here. If you're not sure if it's hot enough, just grab the steak to the tip. Oh, that's good, huh? And always away from you. If you drop it like this, facing down, the steak will naturally splash and some of the hot oil will burn you. So always away from you. And you want to get that hard sear. And something I like doing when I cook my steak, I don't like adding chopped garlic or herbs or anything like that, because then the steak would just soak up those elements. So I'm just putting in a whole garlic right next to it. Just kind of move it around. Maybe in the center of both steaks right there. What this does, the garlic will just fry in the oil and will throw a natural flavoring, and it'll just be a thin, small layer instead of being garlicky steak. And that's all that's happening. The same way you lay down. You see that right there? Oh yeah, it's a nice sear. The garlic's still in the center. And you're gonna give this about 3 to 4 minutes there. That'll reach a beautiful medium. Once the steak is nice and medium, I'm gonna put it aside, let the steak rest. And I'm not gonna dispose of any of this oil of anything. We're gonna throw in the crab meat, just so it heats up, just so it cooks all the way through. And then the crab meat will also soak some of the natural fat drippings from the steak and pushes this dish to a whole different level. Alright guys, now that the steak is out of the pan, let it rest. If you cut right into it, you're gonna make a huge no-no, which is the steak is crazy, you know, everything's still bubbling. And if you cut into it, all its natural juices are just gonna release and you're gonna have a dry, boring steak. I didn't clean the pan, as you see. The garlic's still there, nice and brown. You know, you can give that to your friend or something. They actually taste really good at this point. They're very sweet, but I don't need it for this dish. I'm just saving it aside. Pan's still hot. We will make sure you lower your heat. I had it on high heat just because we wanted a nice thick sear. And at this moment, you just add the crab meat. And this is the easiest part of the dish. Very simple. You just want the crab meat to heat all the way. There's a lot of the natural oils that were released from the steak. You just want the crab meat to get all that. Crab meat could be naturally a little salty, a little briny. So if you add salt, you're just gonna over salt your dish at this point. You want those layers to be consistent. You don't want one to be over salty and the other one. You want each one to complement each other and just help each other. You just literally give it minutes. Turn your pan. As you turn it off, the natural heat will just start lowering down, and that will just finish cooking the meat. You don't want to overcook shellfish either because they become very chewy. Chewy seafood is not appetizing, doesn't taste good, regardless of what you do to it. Crab meat's done, vegetable medleys, everything steaming hot. This took very, very short time. The steak has rested. A lot of its natural juices are all floating around. See, you don't want nothing disturbed. You want to give it a couple of minutes. If you cook it a little more closer to well done, give it a longer time to rest, so all those juices will just soak back in the meat, and when you cut into it, it will just like drip out, and that's where all the good flavor. So now that has rested, I'm gonna cut the steak. And I like cutting my steak just because when you do an Oscar style, or you know, there's like some sort of burgundy sauce or just any sauce on top of your steak will soak in that sauce, so it tastes better. As of when they give you a whole steak, the sauce is only on the outside and it runs out really quick. And just check this out, nice and medium. So now assembly, guys. So you grab a steak, put right in the center. You're just gonna grab a little bit of that Béarnaise sauce. Like I said, most recipes you'll find online will tell you to cut the onion really thinly and really fine. But at the same time, if you do that, then you lose the texture. I like my onions to be kind of like caramelized onions, so I did the shallots a little thick. And just lay them all around, just do it nice. And you don't want to over thicken the sauce either, because once you over thicken, I literally mean it. It's like eating hot hollandaise or like a hot mayo, and I don't like that. I like my sauce to be a little runny. I want it to be like all around my steak. At this moment, some of that warm crab meat right in the center, and then a little more sauce. Add some fresh parsley to your dish. You can chop it. If you don't like parsley or anything green, just don't put it there. I like a little green on my dish. All right, guys, well, this is dinner served, guys. Lunch is served. Enjoy your day off. So I'm definitely gonna enjoy mine. Oscar style themed steak, little twist, vegetable medley, no asparagus on mine. Please check out my videos, like, comment, tell me what you do a little differently on this dish, if you would do anything differently. This was dedicated to all the ballers out there, all those kings, all those queens out there that treat themselves nice at the end of a long week. Check me out on Instagram, check out my blog. All the links will be right below. Thank you, guys. Check out my videos, check out my blog, and check out my Instagram at Chef Talks.
Let's check it.
I think it's official Chef Talk though.